another Scraplift Crafternoon. This week we are scrap lifting Josefine VanDer Hoeven's beautiful Cool Kid layout using the Cocoa Vanilla No Limits collection. It's an absolutely gorgeous layout. I will be putting the links down below, so check out those below. I will also be using my Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog June kit to create this layout. It is not Cocoa Vanilla No Limits, although I do have that collection. I'm just not going to use it just yet. Can't bear to cut into it yet. So here I am getting ready to create my background. I'm using a dilution spray. It's a pretty bright spray. Not too hard to create a background like this. I love to do ink smooshing. Really spreads a lot farther than I expected it to, but it's really pretty. Just trying to dry it off a little bit. Hopefully it will dry nice and light. But it's about here when I realized that it's not going to be light enough, and I'm going to have to set this particular background aside to use for another layout. Time for take two. This time I chose a Tattered Angels ink spray that's been in my stash for about 15 years. Never been a super fan of those, so they just kind of sit. I think I need to start using them up and getting them out of here. It's supposed to look really blue, but here it kind of looks muddy to me at first as I'm playing with it. Hopefully as it dries I'll like the color better, or we might be seeing a take three. And right there I thought I was going to be able to add some splatters, but it's too wet and I end up with a splotch that I don't really care for. Try to dry it off with my heat tool, but it's just not enough. Grab a roll of paper towels rather and roll over the top, and that gets me a little drier than Here you're going to see me begin to play with some cardstock. This is a really pale blue cardstock in smooth finish that I am splatting with some white dilution spray. Here I have done a orange as well, and I'm running it through my Cameo to cut a cut file. I let these dry overnight before cutting, though I didn't want to risk smearing it on my Cameo blade. That would not be fun to clean. So here I'm going to be making the embellishments for my layout. Taking the inner pieces of the cut file that you saw me cut out, and I'm folding them, trying to see if I can't get those cut out pieces like we see on the inspiration layout. I'm having a little bit of trouble folding, but it's doing okay. Using my bone folder from close to my heart that I have, trying to make those creases sharp. Mostly I just want to get a point in the middle so that I have a place to cut. So I'm going to be cutting apart the little cut file piece that I created into little diamonds. It's not real hard to do. I did find when I went to do the smaller ones, those were harder to do, and I really messed those up, and they're not even usable in the end. Here I'm putting my little pieces that I cut out into a little cardboard box, and I'm spraying them with Delusion's white ink spray to get those splatters like we see on the original layout. Photo that I've chosen for my layout, and here you're going to see me begin the process of cutting out some of the papers. I'm trying to salvage as much of this orange splattered with the white paper that I created as much as possible so I can have some little bits and pieces. I do end up having to re-put them into my little cardboard box that I made just for spraying to protect my house from overspray. Sometimes it gets too cold, wet, rainy for me to do it outside like I prefer, and so I have a box just for that. I also am going to sit and cut down all of the pattern papers that I chose. These are all from Paige Evans's Bungalow Lane that I put into my counterfeit kit this month. This is the first time I'm cutting into them at all, so you'll just see I'm kind of making some guesswork on what size I want my mats to be. This is the first time I've cut into my counterfeit kit. I haven't cut down any of the cut aparts that I put into my kit. And I actually think I only put in the tag sheet, and I'll just sit here and I'll cut them all down so that I have them for layering purposes, or some of them even have space for journaling. I know that I want to use at least one on this layout, so I'm cutting them all down and setting them to the side. Light blue cardstock with the splatters on it to use in my die cut machine. I'm pretty much known over at Counterfeit Kit Club that I make humongous kits. This month I think I even exceeded my current record, which who knows what that is, but I have 50 sheets of pattern paper in my counterfeit kit for June. That's insane. Here I'm going to add some stamping to my background. I noticed some subtle, what looked like stamping on the original layout. I don't know for sure, but I thought I saw some text, and I just wanted to add some bits and pieces. You can watch me as I struggle to pull this stamp off the sheet that I have it on. That is the original backing to that stamp, and it was on there really well. I believe that is a Jenny Bolin stamp. It's old. You got it all inside. One of the things that we do over at Counterfeit Kit Club is we counterfeit the embellishments from our inspiration kit. So I'm bringing that in here where I'm counterfeiting all of the embellishments in this layout so that I have something similar or close. I am attempting to heat emboss, stamp and heat emboss on some denim fabric paper, as well as some scraps from my scrap bin. I'm really trying to use up a lot of my scraps, and I pulled several pieces through here. And one of my layering pieces behind my photo ended up not being an actual piece from my counterfeit kit. It was from my scraps. It's a piece of Orange Webster pages that's been in that scrap bin forever. I am still working through heat embossing. I'm not great at this. I'm not a novice, but it's not something that I do a lot of, and I'm really out of practice. I put my thumb right in the middle of that phrase, and it ends up smudging the ink, so it doesn't actually heat emboss well. I do redo it off screen though, and I have a cleaner phrase for my finished layout. Here you get to see me die cut some pieces with my Sizzix. I use both a Cameo and Sizzix all the time when I scrapbook. When I'm using scraps, I tend to use the Sizzix. When I'm using full sheets of pattern paper or half sheets, larger sheets, I'll tend to use my Cameo. I'm cutting stars. I tend to use a lot of stars, so I cut several. I don't think all of these make it on the layout, but I have a little box that I keep on my desktop for extra pieces, and some of those stars that are left over will end up in that little box that I set to the side. I know you guys know how to die cut, but I just thought I would show you the whole process. Luckily, you don't get to see me smack my arm with the handle. I do that all the time leaves a mark every time. I have a bruise on my forearm now from the last time it hit me. I also die cut some pieces of the pattern paper so that I'd have some layering pieces on those stars, because the stars in the original layout are layered. Again, I'm going to have extra pieces that I'll set aside for another layout another time. It's nice to have stars. I use them a lot, as I already said. Here's my pile of finished die cut stars. They're really pretty. I am layering them kind of off screen a little bit. Sorry about that. I didn't adjust my focal point of my video before I recorded. Distressing my layering pieces for behind my photo using a distress tool that Miss Kimberly from I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking gave to me. She's got a kind heart and she didn't use it. I didn't have one, so she sent it to me. It's very sweet of her. I use it all the time.
You make me look, you make me look. You got it all inside of you. Feel it to be true. And when you dance, I'm in the groove. You make me look, you make me look.
Start layering the pieces that go behind my photo. Did you see that little swipe of a kitty? That was time number 1. You'll see him on screen. He's kind of right in the way today. Just kind of playing with placement, moving things around on my background, adding some glue, which you will probably cringe when you see me start moving stuff around later. I just kind of put a little glue here and there and then move around quite a bit. I chose to use a liquid glue because I knew I'd be moving it a lot. Did you notice that I managed to cover up that splotch mistake I made at the top of my layout? I was quite proud of that. Some of my die cut pieces were not perfect. I'm okay with not perfect because I tend to use stuff like this for tucking. Several of my larger orange stars, the corners didn't cut correctly. I was having trouble getting them to stay on that magnetic platform on my Sizzix. Get tired of fighting with that platform, so I just let them be, and you don't see them in the finished layout too well because I've tucked them quite well.
Feel it to be true.
some of the middle pieces that I sprayed and inked into the bottom left star that I'm putting on the layout. Those don't end up being much more than adding dimension later. I cover them up completely. Things I did off screen was I added foam adhesive back on some of my embellishments that I made so that I didn't have to do it on screen. The piece that I'm gluing down now, I used a piece of foam that I had before. This little thing that I just showed you, I had put some embellishments and title pieces on waxed paper. I just wanted to show you what I was using. Here is where you see me move up my layered photo even after I had used wet glue on it. I went ahead and moved it up so that I could put that title where I wanted it. As I'm adding stars, I decided I don't like that little orange frame I put behind the top star. I removed it. Begin the process of tucking the various embellishments I've chosen to put on this layout. That ticket I made out of denim fabric paper, tucking some other stuff behind it, some stickers from my June counterfeit kit, some phrases as well. I end up stopping and adding a piece of foam to the back of that little phrase there on screen. Oh, there's that kitty again. I had to have a kid come in and have her remove him and shut my door at this point because he was seriously wanting to just be right in filming. Sorry about that. Buttons from a previous forgery and a counterfeit club kit from last year. Plus I had put some buttons in my kit for this month, and so I pulled out the forged one as well as two others to add to my kit. I'm adding some stickers and some little other bits and pieces to finish it off. Here's my finished page. I did a little bit of stuff off screen. I added some white pen detailing on several things, including the photo. Just kind of trying to bring it out. I also found these paper clips on the desktop from the previous layout that I'd done, so I decided to go ahead and put those on here. This is my beautiful baby boy. Not a baby, but my baby. Thank you for looking. I hope that you have a great Sunday afternoon. Hope to see you again next week.